Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to take a really thoughtful, kind of meditative journey through a beautiful piece of writing. It's a poem by Oluyomi Oladevid called Gratitude is Balanced. We're going to unpack her words and explore how nature's simplest, most everyday elements can actually teach us some incredibly profound human virtues.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our anchor for this entire explainer is the title of her work itself. Gratitude is Balanced. It's a really fascinating statement, isn't it? Because, we usually think of gratitude as this overwhelming emotion, like a sudden, massive burst of thankfulness. But she frames it entirely differently. She tells us it is balanced. It requires equilibrium. It's a steady, constant state of being. And as we'll see as we move through her words, this sense of balance is something she observes absolutely everywhere in the natural world.
The mind of Oluyomi Oladevid. So before we can truly appreciate the layers of this poem, we really need to understand who she is and explore her worldview. Oluyomi Oladevid is a proud Nigerian who possesses this deep, profound love for people. She isn't just writing poetry in a vacuum, completely detached from reality. Her background tells us she's intensely dedicated to global development and transformation. She's a thinker who looks at the world, sees all its messy complexities, and actively seeks to make it tangibly better for everyone.
When you look at her professional background, you see that she is concerned about global development, she generates solutions, she influences policy and strategy, and, crucially, she provides clarity. It's a pretty unique combination, right? We're about to read this highly poetic, nature-focused piece, but it's written by someone who is fundamentally a highly analytical strategic thinker. She literally uses her talents to shape high-level policies. She is a compassionate pragmatist. And that desire to provide clarity is exactly what she's doing in the poem we're analyzing today. She's using nature to make complex human virtues crystal clear. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it bridges her analytical mind with her deeply spiritual core. This quote is straight from her biography. She states, "My Father God owns and rules the universe. He is the wheel within my wheels." So her entire solutions-oriented approach to global development, it's entirely grounded in her faith. This is the exact lens through which she views everything. For her, the natural world isn't just random biology. It is a perfectly ordered system ruled by a divine creator. That phrase, "the wheel within my wheels," speaks to this profound interconnectedness, a divine engine driving her purpose. Keep that worldview in mind as we read her observations.
Wisdom in the wild. Let's transition into the text of the poem itself now, slowing down our pacing to look for profound lessons in everyday nature. She writes, "A cooing bird is smart, a crawling ant is wise." Notice how incredibly deliberate these lines are. She's making a very specific distinction here. She observes the bird, communicating, navigating the open skies, and she labels it smart. But then, she looks down at the dirt, at the tiny, crawling ant, and she elevates its status entirely. She calls the ant wise. And this brilliantly illustrates a core tenet of her philosophy. Just contrast the tiny, seemingly insignificant, crawling ant moving methodically across the ground with true wisdom, which is arguably one of the most profound, highly sought-after human virtues. By connecting these two things, she wants us to recognize that true wisdom isn't always flashy or loud. Sometimes, wisdom is simply putting your head down, working steadily, preparing for the future, and contributing to the colony. It is an incredible lesson drawn from the literal dust beneath our feet. She continues her observations of the physical world with this line, "Wind-driven branches are flexible." Let that metaphor just sink in for a moment. A branch that refuses to bend when the wind howls is inevitably going to snap. It breaks. But the branch that yields to unseen powerful forces, that's the one that survives the storm. She sees this basic physical property of nature as an absolute masterclass in human resilience. Which brings us to a direct question for you to ponder right now. How are you adapting like the branches? When the unseen winds of life, stress, massive change, unforeseen challenges push against you, are you rigid, risking a break? Or are you finding the flexibility to yield, survive, and eventually spring back? This is exactly how she provides clarity. She uses the tree outside your window to teach you about emotional survival. Order and perfect timing. Having covered wisdom and resilience, she now turns that highly analytical mind towards structure. She writes, "A crowing rooster is timely. Locusts are simply orderly." Again, she is finding perfection in the rigid structures of nature. The rooster doesn't need an alarm clock. It acts with perfect innate timing to herald the dawn. But the second half of this thought is what's truly fascinating. Locusts are simply orderly. So the crucial point is how she decodes this specific metaphor. Think about it for a second. Throughout human history, locusts have been viewed almost exclusively as chaotic, destructive pests, literally a biblical plague. Yet, when she looks at a swarm of locusts, she doesn't see chaos at all. She sees millions of individuals moving as one, highly structured, highly organized, and flawlessly executing their biological imperative. She completely transforms a creature we fear into a masterclass on order, discipline, and unity. It's just a stunning shift in perspective. The courtesy of the cosmos. Now she lifts her gaze. We transition away from the soil, the branches, and the insects, and we look straight up into the sky to her grander, more celestial metaphors. Even the sun is courteous. I mean, this is arguably the most beautiful imagery in the entire piece. The sun is a massive burning ball of gas, an overwhelming force of nuclear energy. It literally has the power to scorch and destroy, yet she describes it as courteous. It rises gently. It provides just enough life-giving warmth to sustain us without demanding a single thing in return. She attributes a profound sense of cosmic politeness and grace to the very center of our solar system.
Let's move to the night sky and see how this builds. She follows the courteous sun with this: shining stars are reigning at night. The sun politely bows out, and the stars take their rightful place to reign. They don't fight for dominance, they share the sky in perfect shifts. Remember her quote from earlier about her Father God ruling the universe? You can see that belief shining through right here. She views the cosmos not as a random, chaotic void, but as a perfectly balanced, divinely ruled kingdom where even celestial bodies understand their roles.
Nature as our teacher. As we begin to guide this explainer toward its conclusion, she pulls all these threads together. But first, she drops this totally surprising line. Nodding lizards are in every palace. It's almost humorous, actually, but it's deeply profound. We human beings can build the grandest structures imaginable, massive palaces, sprawling skyscrapers, fortresses, all to signify our power and our separation from the wild. But look in the corner of that palace, and there is a little lizard, just nodding its head. Nature is always present. It cannot be locked out. It is quietly observing us from the walls of our own artificial kingdoms.
Which leads her to state this plain fact, presented directly to us: nature is a teacher. This is her core argument synthesized into 4 simple words. Every animal, every plant, every star we have discussed holds a distinct lesson for human development. If we want to build better policies, if we want to transform the globe, which is her professional mission, we must first be humble enough to sit as students in the classroom of the natural world.
And then she leaves us with this, her final metaphor: doormats are grateful. I want to pause here for just a second. Think about the wild journey she just took us on. She had us looking up at the courteous sun and the reigning stars, contemplating the immense divine order of the universe. And then, for her final note, she brings us crashing right back down to earth, past the ant, past the soil, straight to the most humble, foundational, often stepped-on object imaginable, the doormat. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and to a question I really want to leave ringing in your ears today. What does it mean to possess the quiet, foundational gratitude of a doormat? To be something that bears the weight and the dirt of the world, yet remains essential, completely grounded, and ultimately thankful for its purpose in the balance of things. Oluyomi Oladavid challenges us to find wisdom in the ant, flexibility in the branches, and a perfectly balanced gratitude in the most humble of places. Take that thought with you today. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep seeking clarity.